everybody, it's Pam and Bill at Country Living Newbie Custom Decor in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I hope everyone had a wonderful day with their dad or their father figure in their life. And if you are missing your father, then love and prayers to you. And I know I'm missing mine, so he's going to be watching our live tonight. That's my dad, Sonny. And I know Bill's missing his. So anyway, we want to make it a happy and kind of easy kind of night. Dixie Belle's not going to be on tonight monitoring, so number one, behave yourselves. And number two, please, please put your father's name in the comments and say Happy Father's Day to him. Even if he doesn't see it, we want to see all those names on there and just give all the dads out there all the love they deserve today. So. A couple other things, there's some links up there to the Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast group, so please jump over after this and join that group if you're not a part of it. Tons of inspiration over there. Our Facebook page is there, so we'd love for you to come on over to our page as well and follow us over there.
I'm not pinning anything, right?
No.
No, okay.
No. Let's get started. So we're kind of going from one extreme to the other tonight. We're going to start out using some silk, and then we're going to end up using some Dixie Dirt. So I don't see a lot of tutorials out there on Dixie Dirt, and I think it's just an underutilized product. I hadn't used it in a while, and I used it last week, and I thought let's kind of bring it out again and show folks how cool it is. Okay, so we're doing this little table, which the table's really cool. Look at the shape of it. Like, I've never seen that before. Like, how neat is that? So we're painting the whole table just in Silk Anchor, which is a deep, rich black. It is gorgeous. If you love caviar from the Chalk Mineral Paint line, you will doubly love Anchor from Silk. It's amazing.
Is it heavy?
It weighs a ton, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Sink right to the bottom of the ocean. So, yeah, and let's also say Happy Father's Day to Bill back there, too. Okay, now he's not my father, of course, but, you know. Okay.
Tina Fox says, hello from Tasmania, Australia.
Wow.
Lost my dad last year, so please give extra hugs today
hugs.
for all the dads no longer here.
Yes, yes. All right. So let's just talk about prep on this piece. So with silk, you do need to do a little bit of prep, okay? Always clean with your White Lightning and always rinse that off real well. It's the first thing you always do, okay? Even if you're going to scuff sand or whatever you're going to do to your piece after, always use White Lightning first, okay? Clean it, rinse it, and then if you were going to be using Slick Stick with the Chalk Mineral Paint, you probably want to use it with the silk as well. I actually have had no problem just scuff sanding, and this is a pretty slick piece. So I scuff sanded it with a 150. I really kind of wanted to rough it up a little bit. So I scuff sanded it with 150, which really just means kind of just going over it and giving it what they call teeth, right? Just for something the paint to grab onto. But then I also went over it with a 220, and not necessarily to really smooth it out, but the 150 is, you know, can be a little harsh. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any deep scratches in there from the sandpaper. So that's what we've done with this, and then wiped it all down. And we've done one coat, so you can see the color before. And then we did one coat of silk. Tina, if you're watching, I promise not to drop your piece on the floor. All right.
And it's ruined.
Okay, so this is one coat. This is two coats. I just put a second coat on just this one strip here. Okay, so 2 coats is absolute perfect coverage.
So point to one coat?
So one coat is kind of everywhere.
The top.
Oh, here, yeah. 1 coat, 2 coats, and that's all this is going to need. I recommend 2 coats.
It's pretty dramatic difference just from 1 coat to 2.
Yeah, and I wanted to show that because with silk, I find that to be the case a lot. Sometimes the color will cover in 1 coat. Always do 2 coats anyway to get that toughness of the built-in top coat. But don't be discouraged if your first coat looks like that. It really just sets the tone and the base coat for your second coat, which generally covers beautifully. okay?
So we got a question from Elizabeth, who says, after you sand, how do you wipe it down with water?
So I did on this piece, I did a 50-50 vinegar and water rinse, which is what I always do after white lightning. You don't have to, that's just what I do. If you got a lot of dust on there though from your sanding, you can use a tack cloth. It's like one of those tacky yellow cloths, just wipe it all off. But make sure you get that stuff off, because you definitely don't want to paint over that. You know what
Tack cloth is your best bet.
Yeah.
Because it actually takes off all the residue from the sanding.
Yeah.
If you just use water, sometimes the water will, whoops. Sometimes the rag doesn't hold all the sand or the dust.
Yep.
Let me adjust my
Yeah, sorry, I
lighting.
wanted to do the top of this because I wanted to show you guys the grain in this goes 4 different ways. So I'm gonna follow the grain.
2 different ways.
Well, yeah, there's 4 sections. Okay.
Sorry.
And with silk, I load my brush up a lot more than I do with the chalk mineral paint. Okay, that's the advice I give people. You know, you're gonna find what works for you, but I find that you can load your brush up quite a bit because you're not using water. Okay, so you need to have that paint there to kind of keep everything moving.
So Janet Dickerman says, is tack cloth a microfiber cloth? And that is no. Tack cloth is basically, it almost looks like a piece of cheesecloth, but it's infused with just like a sticky substance that's infused throughout the cheesecloth, and it just picks up all your dust as you wipe it around.
If you remind me, I think we have one in the drawer back here.
We do.
I'll see if I can poke
And
around
Tina
it.
Morse says, hello, that's my table.
Hey, Tina.
And she says, what are you doing to it? No.
Wait, I didn't say black. Okay, so again, I'm still trying to go a little bit with the grain here. I could go straight across, but when I did it on the bottom, going with the grain, it just really came out pretty. Silk is an amazing self-leveling paint. So even if I did go straight across, it would be fine. And you don't want to overwork silk, okay? So it dries fairly quickly on the top layer. So just get your coat down and move on. Move on. This is the cutest on tape. I've never seen anything like this. I thought it was so cute. And we're always going to do that one last stroke going all the way across, right? I'm barely touching this because it's starting to dry, but I just want to make it nice and smooth where all these grains come together in the middle.
Elizabeth asks, have you tried the Scarlet brush with silk?
I have. I like the oval, small and medium the best with silk. Any of the synthetic brushes work good, but like I said, I tend to load my brush up a lot with silk, and these just hold a lot of paint. And I find the brush strokes a little bit less with these than the Scarlet.
We also had a question earlier that I couldn't get to. Where did we get that galvanized tray cabinet behind us? To your right.
That?
That's the one.
That actually,
I think we got that from Georgia.
Yeah, we have that's one of our wholesale places that we get some of our stuff from. It's called Rhine and Son. You can't buy it, like the public can't buy from them unless like you have a booth and a resale certificate. But yeah, it's kind of handy. It rolls. Sometimes it rolls when you don't want it to. All right, so again, I'm very lightly going over this. Do not overwork silk. You won't be happy if you do. You can see, look how it's already drying. So you don't want to keep kind of going over that, okay? We're going to lift this back up.
While you're lifting, I'm going to ask another question. Jody asks, if painting a wicker outdoor piece, would you use silk or chalk paint?
it's going to be outdoors, like not under a porch. Tell me. So you can use either paint. Silk is UV resistant, so the color won't fade. You can use gator hide, but gator hide is not UV resistant, and the chalk paint will fade over time. So I don't know that it's a matter of the paint, more so what you seal it with, if that helps. So I got a bunch of buildup on this edge, so we're just gonna kind of whisk it off. And I'm just doing a light coat here. I don't want to create an edge of paint on the top there. So I'm just kind of going lightly here. Always watch your edges. Whenever we do paint classes, Bill is like the drip Nazi. Because you always got to kind of look around and see where you might be getting some buildup.
Angelina asks, can anyone see my comments? And yes, Angelina, I can see your comments. Or at least I saw this one. Sometimes they scroll so quickly on the phone that we're using that I don't see them necessarily. So I apologize if I'm missing anyone's questions. Just ask again.
Yeah, and Dixie Belle's not monitoring tonight because it's Father's Day, so Bill is the only one that's able to kind of look. But after the video, I always go on, I'll answer any questions. So please don't feel like we're neglecting you. We may just, it's just going so fast.
So she wants to know where we buy the tack cloth. Home Depot, Lowe's, any hardware store, any place that sells paint, basically.
I don't have it in the container, I don't think. That's what
This is what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
It's usually in a in a nice square, but it's kind of just a cheesecloth or a gauze, and it's sticky. It's not huge sticky, like you can't stick it up against a wall or anything, but it's just sticky enough to pull the dust off your piece.
Yeah, any hardware store or paint or place that sells paint will have them.
And we have another question from Elizabeth, and I think this is regarding the edge when you get a buildup of drips.
Yep.
What do you do when you get a drip and you don't notice it until it's too late?
You pray that you can, chip it off or sand it off, but you're gonna have to probably sand it off and do some touch up. Once it's dry, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot to do.
Well, there is. Nothing's not fixable.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you have to.
But if it's still wet, brush it off with the brush. You'll have to make a determination what to do at that point. If it still has a little bit of a bump from where the drip was, you'll have to wait for it to completely dry and then maybe just go over it real quick with a piece of sandpaper before you do your next coat. Just like a 220 or something.
Depends how dry it is.
Joan Harrell says, hello from the great state of Florida, which was where our prior home was.
Yeah. It's a great state.
And Kendra is asking, what colors are you using?
This is Anchor in the Silk line. We always try to put what we're using up on the board too, so you guys can see. Always feel free to ask, but we always try to do that in case we forget to mention or.
And everybody do those things that are on the bottom written. Because apparently we're not allowed to say it. Nancy asks, do you scuff sand?
Yes.
With
silk?
Silk, yes.
Yes. Yeah, on this we did, and this is pretty slick, we did a 150 and then a 220 after it.
Amber's on.
Hi, Amber. Thanks for joining us, guys. Happy Father's Day.
Monica Gorman's on from Northern Ireland.
Hello.
That's where my ancestors are from.
Okay, so with silk, again, you want to be real deliberate about your brush strokes, right? Always do your last one, just one across all the way. Don't stop in the middle, okay, because you kind of get this line of demarcation there. Same thing with the chalk mineral paint. You know, when you got these big surfaces, if you're going to stop in the middle, take your brush and wisp it up, okay? Don't bring it across and stop, because that's what you get. I don't know if you can see it or not. But if you bring it across and wisp it off, then you won't get that mark. I have a little trouble turning the table this way because it's almost as long. Oh, let's do this.
So I got Amy asking, do you use a top coat with silk? I always do, but then maybe I'm just too paranoid.
You said you always do, or she always does?
She always does, yeah.
So I have a dining table that we did in silk, anchor, and put no extra top coat on it, and nothing has happened to it. I mean, it's beautiful. You absolutely can put a top coat, but you know, when a new product comes out, you kind of have to build your trust in it, right? And you just got to try. You know, people are going to tell you what their own experiences are. I have not top coated silk, but that's not to say other people haven't.
Myself personally, I probably, if it was a dining table or a top of a table, myself being paranoid in that manner as well, I would probably put a top coat on it. But I also think people are following me too, so.
Yeah,
That could be my paranoia.
it also depends on, you know how you treat your furniture. If you're selling furniture, sometimes you want to have a little extra reassurance that when it goes out the door, it's going to be as tough as possible. So you don't have to do it. I don't do it, and I haven't had anything bad happen so far. So now, if you don't like the eggshell finish, because it's pretty matte, the finish on it. Guys, get yourself an apron. If you don't have an apron, get yourself a Dixie Belle apron. They sell them, If you don't like the eggshell finish, which is, it's almost more matte than eggshell, I think. Then you can put like a satin or a gator hide or something over it to change the sheen. And then you'll get your extra protection too. But always do the 2 coats of silk, because that will give you a good protection with the top coat in there. So I'm going to, because it's hard for me to turn this that way, I'm gonna put this down because we want to make sure we get to the dirt. So we'll put this over here.
Hazel Wolf saying hi from Clearwater.
Hey!
We used to go there all the time to go to the beach.
Boy, that looks really good in front of my new staging wall. All right, so we're gonna.
How's that traffic circle going to Clearwater?
I do miss Clearwater Beach a little bit.
Yeah.
Frenchies, I miss Frenchies.
Oh, the seafood there?
Yeah. All right, so I want to see in the comments if you've used Dixie Dirt before. Who has used Dixie Dirt? Or who hasn't used Dixie Dirt? Let's see.
Moira asks, so no slick stick with this paint?
It depends. If you're painting something that you really can't scuff sand, it's always on like plastic or those type of Formica, marble, mirrors, whatever. Always on that, even with silk. The piece I just painted was pretty slick. I scuff sanded it. I did not use slick stick. And it will be fine. I try to think of it as if I would use slick stick with the chalk paint, I may use it with silk if I can't get a good scuff sanding on it. So I hope that helps.
Tammy asks, do you always use a brush or can you use a foam roller?
I know there has been someone that used I can't remember where it was, that used a foam roller. Just make sure you get one of the high density foam rollers. when you use it. But I have not rolled it before, but I do know somebody posted on maybe the chalk mineral paint page, possibly, that they did.
Amy asks, I'm doing my bathroom cabinet and counters in silk.
Yeah.
I'm thinking gator hide for at least the counters, right?
You can, yeah. Yep. I probably would.
And Debbie Thompson says, I'd add a top coat on tables.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can't hurt, and if it's a table that's being used a lot, you know, you do the extra.
Kendra was asking what brush you were using.
That was the oval small. Oval small. I only use oval small and oval medium with silk. They all work fine. I just find personally that those are the best for me. Okay, I'm going to show you Dixie Dirt. So we did this. This is actually a pane of glass. It's a cabinet door flipped on its side. We ended up repurposing the cabinet. We put the Field of Flowers transfer on it, painted a fake window pane because I had a gap in between the two transfers, or the two sides of the transfer. But if Bill comes in close, up in here in the corners where it looks kind of grungy, that is Dixie Dirt, okay? That is Dixie Dirt. All in here is Dixie Dirt. Now there's some dark wax on here too, but sitting in here is Dixie Dirt. We're going to show you how to do that. All right. So it comes in...
One more question. What do you use to apply a top coat?
Personal preference. A lot of folks will use the blue sponge. This. So Dixie Belle makes the blue sponge. It's kind of nice. It fits in your hand. It's very dense, so you can kind of put it in your top coat. And then for long surfaces, it's nice. Just don't press really hard, because then you get these lines on the edges of the sponge. So you don't need to press real hard, but you can use this. You can use a roller, you could spray it, you could use a synthetic brush. I would always use, if you're going to brush it, use one of these. So this is great for top coats because it's got a long, it's the longest brush, or the widest, so you don't have to make as many passes, or use the mini. But for top coats, always use the best brush, because you kind of get, you know, the results of, depending on the brush you use. If you use a chip brush, it's not going to be great. All right, back to the questions, guys. I know Bill's trying to keep up. He's doing a good job, I think.
Also, when you're doing a top coat, make sure the brush is saturated.
Yeah.
And what I do with my brushes, I put them in the container, whatever like if I pour my top coat into a tub of some sort, I put my brush in, saturated, and then I lean it up against the side of the bucket to get all the air bubbles out. That'll help disperse the air bubbles before you actually apply them onto your project.
Good advice. Okay, so this mirror we're doing is plastic. Like it sounds like metal, but it's actually like a plastic mirror. So I wanted to show you the kind of the different phases of what it looked like before. It's just that gold. It's from Kirkland's. You've seen those mirrors, right? We've all had one. Kind of got the gold, but it's very slick. So 2 coats of slick stick on the whole thing except for here. And then I have 1 coat of sandbar. I'm doing a 2nd coat of sandbar right now. This is a perfect piece to use Dixie Dirt in because it's got lots of detail. You can use Dixie Dirt for shading on flat areas too. We're not going to be doing that so much tonight. So that's 2 coats of sandbar. We're going to do 1 coat over here. And then I'm going to show you the finished look before we do the dirt on it. We'll do the dirt there. And guys, when I paint mirrors, I don't tape them off. I paint right on them, even with slick stick, and then I take a razor blade and just clean it right off. So don't waste your time. You don't need to waste your time doing taping it off. Because who's got time for that, right? And
I mean, I don't think you want to deliberately paint the mirror if you don't have to.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna get something
Yeah.
on there. Okay, so this is, my hands are a mess, guys. I'm sorry. The round small. So this is great for this kind of trim. And you know, I know brushes aren't cheap, so as you kind of build your arsenal of tools, this is a nice to have brush. Okay, it's not a necessity, but it's a nice to have. So 1 coat of sandbar right here. I'm trying to be quick because I want to get to the dirt part, but I still wanted you to see kind of the process of this whole thing. 2 coats of slick stick. Don't try to get away with 1. Just, you're supposed to do 2. Do 2. Follow the rules. If you're joining late, guys, put your dad's name in the comments. Say Happy Father's Day to him, even if he doesn't see it, even if he's not here with us, so we can all give all our dads some love.
Kendra says it's worth the money to have good brushes.
It really is, and I know it's hard because they're expensive.
And it depends on what kind of finish you're looking for.
Well, if you're doing a welcome sign, then
Yeah.
who cares?
But if you're looking for that farmhouse look where it's going to be all distressed and grungy, it doesn't really matter.
All right.
But if you're looking for a really nice smooth finish, then yeah, the better your brush, the better the product is going to turn out.
Okay, so that was sandbar. Okay, just kind of a light beige. And I'm just sticking my brushes in a little plastic bag. All right, so this is a brush you don't see too often. Yeah, I have the right one. I had to make sure. Hang on. Yeah. Okay. So this is the French tip brush. So it's got kind of this pointed end, and this is great for a whole lot of things. It's great for corners and spindles and things like that. We're going to use it tonight for some dry brushing. So as soon as this panel's dry, we're going to make it look like this panel down here. Okay, so this is drop cloth, dry brushed over sandbar. And now we're going to add our dirt. So actually, I don't need this right now. So
Okay.
I'm just going to stick that back in there until we're ready. All right, so with dirt, there's 3 different colors. One is charcoal. It's the darkest. So there's that. I'll put it on the white. The other one is earth, which is a brown. God, my hands are a mess. And then ash, which is like a gray, like ashes, okay? So it's a powder. We're gonna use, we'll use all of them. I'm gonna show you just kind of what they look like on some practice boards here, but it's a powder, okay?
Almost like dirt.
Yes, just like dirt. Let's move that over there. So there's a couple ways to do this. If you guys don't have easy peasy spray wax, get it. Get yourself a bottle. It is so versatile. It's just amazing. So when you get it, shake it until you can't hear it anymore. Okay? And I don't care how full it is, you'll get to a point where you can't hear it. That's when it's ready to use, okay? So with so dirt needs something to grab onto. If I just put a bunch of powder in here and wipe it off, it's not gonna stick, right? So you can use your spray wax. You know what?
So we got a question. What does the spray wax do?
It
sprays wax.
It does spray wax.
Yeah.
It is a sealer. A lot of people will use it under another sealer. It will seal your paint, your chalk paint in. So if you go to put like gator hide over it or a satin clear coat, you have a little bit more a little bit more working time. Your paint doesn't grab onto the sealer so quickly. And you can just use it to seal. You can use it by itself. It's not the toughest one, okay? It's, you know, it's great for picture frames hanging on a wall, but like I wouldn't seal my dining room table with it, okay?
You could, but you'd have to reapply it
often,
every so often. Yeah.
And it's matte, okay? It dries very matte. So we're gonna put it on.
How does Matt feel about that?
And I don't want to spray it on the table because it does get kind of a waxy feeling. But you can kind of see it wet.
The wax gives a waxy feel.
It gives a waxy feeling.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
all right. So
who knew?
So with the dirt, I just take a little brush, a little artist brush, and I dip it in, and I put it in these areas here. And you can be messy. Doesn't have to be perfect. And my wax is still wet right now.
And you're really applying it what looks like to be very heavy.
It's pretty heavy. You don't have to go this heavy. You could just draw a little line in there if you want. But I want to show you that, like, you can go heavy, and it's okay. Okay. So now I'm just going to take a paper towel. So you can blow it off, but it's very messy. So you can take
Could you tap it off, like just turn it upside down?
Yeah, yep, yeah, you can kind of, yep. But I'm gonna rub it. And as the wax dries, it's going to, the dirt's gonna dry with it, okay? So the dirt is not gonna come out, you know, after the wax dries, it's in there. If you don't like it as dark on here, use your wax as an eraser. So you can take off what you don't like. And I want to show you the difference, and I don't know if you can see or not. This is glaze. This is dirt. Dirt has more of a texture to it than glaze. Okay, glaze kind of looks antique-y, and dirt just, it looks like that. It just looks dirty. Kind of a grungy, in a good way. In a good way. So there's, that one was, and this is my favorite one. The earth, it's kind of the middle tone color. So that's earth. I think we'll use gray there. The other way you can do this is with your best dang wax, okay? So I have my clear wax.
It's white, but it dries clear.
Correct. And it's probably gonna, I just painted these before this video, so I might get a little bit on here, but let's just kind of, yeah. So
that's a little bit more work than just spraying it on.
Yeah. I think this, I actually like this method better, but this one is a little bit easier. So let's use the real dark ones.
And the spray actually would, well, I guess depending on your cloth, I would think the spray would get into the grooves a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean with the best dang wax, you kind of have to.
You have to kind of really work at it to get it into the grooves.
Okay, so this is charcoal, so it's almost black, but we're gonna do the same thing here, and my wax is still wet. And this is not the only way to do this. I mean, there's, you know.
So Amy Robertson says that she's been using the water-based voodoo stain to distress.
Yeah.
But this is a neat look as well.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just different, and I think it's just one of those products that people just aren't sure about.
And I think all the different methods give you just a little bit different look.
This is the worst cloth to use. Oh, one left. Nope, two left. All All right, and so the same thing with the spray wax. If you dip the clear wax and you rub on here, you will also be able to kind of clear off if you went too heavy. But there's some dirt on there.
So in the grooves, it's really dark. On the high spots, it's just a little bit dark. And if you want, you just avoid putting the dirt, let's say on that bottom section there, and there's no dirt on there whatsoever. Gives you several dimensions.
Yep. So I think I'm gonna not use the ash one. I want to get to this. I don't know how we're doing on time, so I want to.
I'll check.
We're probably getting close because I know I always run along.
And it's 8:30.
8:30?
No.
God, was it 10:30?
7:35.
Okay. I don't want to get any red on this, so I'm just trying to
Clean it off.
clean this off a little bit. All right. This is the Belle brush. So this is a nice brush too. It sheds a little more than the Best Dang brush because it's all natural bristle.
Do you use that specifically for waxes?
No, you can use it for whatever. I just happen to have it, and I've used it for clear wax before. Okay, so we dry brushed this. So this is sandbar, dry brushed with drop cloth. Okay, and now we're going to put some clear wax on.
So Kendra says that she was doing the dirt wrong, which is why it turned out poorly. I didn't spray wax or anything prior. She was just putting it right on the paint.
Yeah. You want to let the paint dry and then put your, one of your waxes on. I think I've seen someone use the clear coat with it, but what happens when dirt hits liquid clear coat, it turns to like mud. It just it doesn't stay dirt anymore. So I don't do that.
Yeah, that's like adding pretty much water to dirt.
Yeah.
You're going to get mud.
Yeah. So
And that could be an interesting look all on its own.
Yeah. I mean, so there's nothing really wrong. It's just, what's the look you're going for. This would actually be pretty with white wax too. So I'm waxing the whole thing because I'm going to wax the whole thing anyway. But I want to make sure I get into this detail. Otherwise, the dirt is not going to stick. All right. So we're all waxed up. No place to go. Oh my God. All right.
Oh,
Sorry.
That's bad.
That was bad. All right, so we're using earth because it's my favorite. Again, it's kind of that medium brown. And we're just going to dab it on in there.
For me, it's a toss-up between wind and fire.
Earth one.
So this should always be done
It's messy.
in an area where you don't care if it's going to get all over the place.
Don't have the fan blowing
Yeah.
or anything like that. All right, and then we're just going to kind of hit this little ridge here. All right. I almost blew it.
Right on my pants?
No, but that would have been, I would have blew that whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing out of the jar, yeah.
Yeah.
Onto my pants.
Yeah.
So Amber asks, so do you wax and wait 15 to 20 minutes, then buff the dirt? Or you have to re-wax or reseal after this?
No, once like if you leave a bunch of dirt piled up on there, and the wax isn't gonna grab onto it. So, but once you wipe it down, and it's just sitting in there with the wax, it will all dry together, and you don't need to reseal And you have time, because the wax will stay tacky, you know, for a while. So you don't have to, you know, I wouldn't do the whole mirror and then go around and do all the dirt. I would still work in sections. I was going to try to be neat, but who cares?
Why start now?
I can't see anything over here, so I'm probably missing this bottom ridge. I don't know. But then we'll turn it around and we'll do the corners. So you can let it sit for a second. You don't, it's not, you know, it's not going to dry up on you right away. Let's turn it this way. And then, where can you see better, there or there? Does it matter?
No, just go ahead.
Okay. So you can use your brush to do some shading, right? Because this is where it's going to kind of build up, right? Use your finger. Because you want it smudgy, because that's how things get dirty. Okay, so you can use your finger, smudge it in there.
Always kind of think about, in real life, where would the dirt build up?
Yeah, do we not, you know, we don't have to, so the mirror would be up, right? Maybe it wouldn't get as dirty there as it would along this edge.
Exactly.
So you can go a little heavier there. On the corners, right, and these little ridges here. And I'm just kind of rubbing it in now. I want it, you know, I want it soft. So you can use a brush, you can use your paper towel, whatever you guys want to do. This has some paint on it, but this is actually a good brush for shading the dirt too, because it has a nice point on it. So let's, I feel like there's like this big blank spot there. So just a little, you know, just a little different way to bring out your detail. If I don't want it that dirty on the raised parts, we're just going to take a little bit of wax and just rub it off.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Diane.
All right. Yeah. Look, all right, I can't see it, so I think I'm hoping it looks okay.
That's just awful.
It's awful?
Yeah.
It's so dirty.
Yeah. Can you clean that up?
Dirty.
Yeah, and I like the inconsistency. Darker here along the line, a little lighter here.
Yeah.
It's
and so to show you
real life isn't symmetrical, so.
Right. Let's get some of the dirt off. And just to show you how I did the drop cloth on there.
Yes, Kendra, you have to try it again.
You get it, girl. You get it. All right, so there's like nothing left in here. So this is a good brush to get in there with. And I'm not using much. I'm actually gonna wipe some of it off. And then I'm going to just go over this very lightly.
Kendra says, so wax is our friend. Yes.
It's funny, I've never been a big wax person until like the past, I don't know, month. I've been using it like a lot more, and I like it. I like it. But get yourself the best dang brush, because wax is just not fun. unless you have a good brush to put it on with, in my humble opinion. I mean, you could put it on with a cloth, but a brush is so much faster, and you kind of buff as you go.
Tammy from Kuwait says, sorry, just got here. What is that powder that she's putting on the mirror? Dixie Dirt.
That is dirt.
That is dirt.
We'll do a little more over here in just a sec. So in here, I'm just trying to get in the corners a little bit. Just didn't want to have one color on the whole thing, because you know how we are. One is never enough. Ear piercing to people. It's funny when I listen to the video back, like your voice is so loud because you're right there, and then I'm like, I can barely hear myself. All right.
Which is unusual because you're significantly louder than I am.
All right. So let's do the spray wax on this section. So now that I've let it sit, we have to shake it again until we don't hear it. Right?
I don't hear it anymore.
Nothing. Isn't that weird? Okay, so we're going to spray this on over here. And we're just working this little section. Paint's pretty. I was dry brushing, so this is like already dry.
You sprayed a little bit on the floor, so I know I'm going to fall and slip on that as we're putting stuff away.
That's the wrong one.
What color does the dirt come in?
All right, it comes in earth, which is what we're using tonight, charcoal, which is a lot darker, and then ash, which is like a gray ash. Earth is my favorite. It just, I don't know, it just seems the most natural to me, so that's earth. And we're just taking a little brush, and here we go. I'll be a little more deliberate this time. I won't get it like on the high spots. Let's see.
Monica Gorman has to go. She has to go to sleep.
Go to sleep, Monica.
Pardon me. She has to be up at 1:47. No, I'm sorry. It's 1:47 here.
It's like an odd time to have to be up.
In NI.
NI.
Where would it be 1:47?
Is it Australia? What's in Australia? Is it Australia? She told us where she was, didn't she?
Monica? I don't think so.
No. All right. So you can see my easy peasy wax is still a little wet. And we're going to come right on top of it. So I was much more deliberate this time with just going in those details, so it's a lot darker, right, than it was here. Because here I kind of went across the whole thing, wiped it off, but here I really, and these are a bit deeper, I really dabbed it in there, so it looks a little bit darker.
Diane says, I have my readers. She's Bill 1:47 a.m. Let me go back to that and see, maybe I just misread it. Yeah, 1:47 a.m. here in NI. I'm not sure what NI is.
NI.
Northern Ireland? Maribel says.
Could be.
Would
Stop
it be?
asking her questions,
Would it be?
she has to go to sleep. We appreciate you guys joining us today, guys. I know it's Father's Day and Sunday, and there's probably 1,000 things you could be doing. We're so happy you're here.
Some of you could be sleeping.
Yes. We could be. All right, so I kind of like that. I kind of like it darker, actually. I may actually even go back in there and darken it up.
Actually, if it's 1:47 where she is, that means it's got to be 7:47 here.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up.
Yep, 750.
I know we didn't get to use the ash color, so let me show that real quick, and then we will, are we going to our page or not tonight?
Probably not tonight.
Okay. Usually we jump on our page for a little bit after this, but it is Father's Day, so.
That and you haven't eaten anything.
I have not eaten all day, I know. All right, so this is Colonel Mustard. I'm just putting the best dang wax on it in clear right now. I just want to show you what the ash looks like.
While you're putting that on, Kendra asks, what does hemp oil do?
Hemp oil does a few things. It's a sealer, so it's a food safe sealer, like what they use on cutting boards. It is a wood revitalizer, kind of conditioner. So if you have some real old dry wood and you're not going to be painting it, but you just kind of wanted to bring it back to life, you can put your hemp oil on it. Hemp oil needs a porous surface to kind of grab onto. It's great for sealing Dixie Belle's caviar in dark colors, okay, but it's very matte. But it leaves no streaks or brush strokes or anything because you put it on, you put it on with a brush, but then you wipe it in.
Do we have a YouTube video?
Hemp oil.
With hemp oil?
I don't know.
I thought we did one of those.
The saddle.
That saddle?
Yeah. Check Amy, AJ's Vintage Designs. She has done a lot with hemp oil. But yeah, it's a sealer and it's also a wood conditioner. But you want to make sure when you put it on, in about 8 hours, you come back and wipe the excess off. Your wood's only going to absorb the oil that it needs, and the rest will sit there. So after 8 hours or the next morning, wipe it back, and then you may have to do that a couple times depending how thirsty the wood is. And then I can't think of the cure time off of my head. This says 2 days, but I don't think that's right. I think that's the old label. All right. Sorry, I know I get on these tangents. Okay, let me just show you the gray. So this is the gray. You can see it's a lot lighter. It's kind of like the gray wax. It's a little more subtle. So you want to use this on light colors. Otherwise, you're just not, you're not going to see it. But there's the gray. Or it's not gray. It's called ash. Sorry. So gray. This is charcoal. This is ash. And then we used earth. So there's the 3 colors.
And it's going to look a little different depending on what color you're putting it over as well.
Right. All right, guys. Well, I hope you learned a little bit about Dixie Dirt tonight. I hope you go try it because it's fun. And there's a couple ways to use it. So experiment. Get yourself some easy peasy spray wax. Even if you don't use it for this, you need it.
Get some of these pieces of wood.
Oh yeah, this is great. Like you just buy one at like Home Depot or whatever, cut it up, and then you just practice.
Yeah, I mean this stuff, it's embossed wood, like a 90 cents or $1. Well, who knows what it is now actually.
$1 million now.
It could be $20 a foot now.
Yeah, I mean, these trims are great. So we have tons of them, and I just paint over and over and over and over on them just to try different things. So it's not like one and done. Just keep painting over them and keep using them and keep experimenting.
Great way to practice.
Yep, it's a great way to stay in shape.
Yeah.
If you're a Family Guy fan, you'll know what we're talking about. All right, guys. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there that are with us and that are not. And happy Father's Day to my dad. Okay. I think I'm going to get through this without crying, but I am. All right, guys. We'll see you next Sunday night on the Dixie Belle page right here. And we love you. Thanks so much for joining us.